Okay, welcome everyone to the July 12th meeting of the Bronxville Planning Board. I'm Michael Goldman, here filling in for our chairman, Larry Vranka. Excuse me, and a little note about our friend Larry, who has served on this planning board for a number of years and more recently served very ably as chairman. Larry is moving out of town. And so while we all appreciate his work and value his service, one of the rules of planning board is we got to live here in the village. So we will miss Larry on the board and really appreciate his service. And we will try to fill his shoes as best as we can. But just a little thanks to Larry before we get rolling. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the June 14th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes?
No comment.
Yes.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
So move.
Second. All in favor? Great. We have the minutes of our prior meeting. The next item up is the site plan approval for 85 Pondfield. And I'm recalling that at a prior meeting, we already approved the bank's, renovation of the premises and change of the site to make room for this retail use. So I'm assuming this is something we can work through quickly, but is there someone here from the applicant?
Hi. I had foam boards of the interior. Do you want them, or I don't know?
Sure, if you brought them this far.
Not much farther, right? Do we have a stand? One sec.
I wasn't sure if it was.
A little old school.
On the side, okay?
Yeah, he has to be able to get it on the screen.
Okay. So the top one is being a shot of the interior, and then the facade is here. I'm going to put this block here to focus on the interior and the use change. So this will give you a better perspective of what the store is going to look like once it's developed. If we're approved.
Yep, understood. So at the podium, if you can identify yourself, et cetera.
Of course.
Thanks.
So good evening. My name is Joe Bastone. I'm the managing director of Metropolis Group, Inc. It's a national code zoning and municipal expediting firm. We've been in business for over 34 years, and I'm very honored to be here. One of the reasons why I feel, very appreciative to be here is because I have a connection to the town of Bronxville. I grew up next door in Yonkers, and have really enjoyed a lot of good and not so great experiences in Bronxville. Great meals at Scalini's, shopping in the downtown. But unfortunately, more recently, my elderly parents had a very severe case of COVID, and they were admitted to Lawrence. But thankfully, by the grace of God, they pulled through because of the impeccable care that they got, and we're sincerely appreciative of all the health care and the staff at Lawrence Hospital, because I'll be honest, if they didn't have the attention to the patients that they give, it would be a different story today. And we're going to be celebrating my mom's 88th birthday at the end of the month.
Congratulations.
So it's all good
That's great.
things. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the proposed use change for 85 Pondfield. As you said earlier, the demising wall that will separate the spaces has been approved, and we're respectfully asking for a use change from the existing B business occupancy to a mercantile space. So FrameBridge is a gifts and framing company. It was started by a woman by the name of Susan Tynan, who was extremely frustrated with a negative experience that she had to frame some National Preserve forestry images, posters, where she lived in Bethesda, Maryland. So she decided to try to do a better job of creating this niche business. And so she has a background in technology, and she started FrameBridge as an online I do? Oh, okay.
It's all up to you.
Thanks. So she started Framebridge, and the idea was born with that negative experience. She currently lives in Bethesda, Maryland, with her 2 children and her husband, and they have grown the company into 19 retail locations, primarily in the Northeast Corridor, and they're expanding west. They do have plans for expansion of about another 8 stores, predominantly in the South and Midwest. So basically, Framebridge's mission is to make it easy for someone to tell a story by framing the things that they love. They plan to expand this year, as I said, and they're a very reputable and a recognized company. They've been featured in many publications by like the New York Times, Glamour Magazine, the New Yorker, Architectural Digest, Vogue, Esquire, and Style Magazine. They have a very solid business model, and they're very well received, and they take a lot of pride in what they do. I believe Framebridge will be an outstanding addition to the Pondfield Road neighborhood. I think they're going to be a great neighbor, and the services they provide, I think, will be a positive influence to the community. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Can you just take us through the diagram for a second, just so we understand?
So basically, they're not going to do any production in the store. So what they do is the client will come in, and they will have a piece of art, a photo, something that they want to have framed. They'll go through the different options based on their desires, what they like, what they don't like. They'll work predominantly in that middle station, where they'll see different samples of frames that will be on slot wall on the side of the retail store. And then they'll make their selections. That order will go online and will go virtually to their production facility in Maryland. The frame will be produced and then shipped to the store, and then they will put together the actual the artwork or the photo in the store by pressing the image into glass and then the frame that was manufactured off-site.
Isn't this also an online company?
Yes,
I had the impression. So if people order online, will this also be a pickup location for them?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But we wouldn't, but the change from being because they were online first.
Yeah.
And then they went to brick and mortar. So the experience is to drive the clientele into the store, because it's not only framing, but it's gifts. It's a warm, appealing environment. I know we have Jay Parker in town that does this. It's different than that. It's much more of homey experience for the individual. It's very personal, one-on-one. So yes, it can be a pickup point, but that's not their drive here. It's about bringing the community into the store to have the experience and have someone listen to what they love and apply it to the piece of art that they're working on.
So other questions from the board members?
I just had a question. On your application, you have an additional 2 or 3 employees than the Apple Bank had in that location. And the question was, that area is sort of difficult for merchant parking. Do you know how many merchant spots you have? Is that adequate for the number of employees you're going to have at the location at any one time?
Yeah, so that's a little bit deceiving. So we gave you the total staff headcount, but we predominantly have a manager and assistant managers full-time that stagger their schedules, and then the rest of the labor is part-time. So it's not going to be like there'll be more than 2 or 3 people in the store at any given time. I believe that they have 2 spots that are part of the lease program. I do, and I anticipate, I thought you were going to ask, I really believe that the traffic that they're going to drive is going to be significantly less than what that Apple Bank was drawing. In busy season in the holidays, it's not going to be like that retail kind of onslaught of clients coming in. This is a very personal, one-on-one, experience-based type experience.
And is the entrance it's not on Pondfield, it's just on that side where the parking lot, where the little, like 5 or 6 lots are?
It'll be on Pondfield.
Yeah, I think it's the left of the 3 window bays, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Pondfield.
On Pondfield, the farthest left in that
Is there
building.
something, is there an entrance there now?
Yes,
Yes.
right now,
I've
Apple
never
Bank.
noticed it.
Yep.
I guess no one ever uses it.
Yeah, because the main bank entrances, I believe,
It's
to
on the other
right.
side,
Yeah, yeah. And these
There
are,
it is.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can talk about it tonight or if it'll be a separate meeting, but we are going to be making some changes to the facade and the signage. So happy to come back if that's the protocol. But the bottom diagram on the foam board does show the proposed design. It's a very subtle, clean representation of what they're proposing. Do you want me to?
Yeah, please.
Please use the laser pointer.
It's on the ground, so I'll pick it up and do that.
Ah, there it is.
I'm doing something wrong, I think. Okay.
There you go.
So the black canopy is what we're proposing, and then the frame bridge signage right on top. And right now, this is a different opening. The door swings here is different than what's there. So those are predominantly the changes. It's a very clean white limestone, I believe, facade right now. And I failed to realize, there will be 2 lanterns on either side that we're going to proposing to add.
Does it go there on the slide, with the X
Yes.
thing is?
Yes? Yes.
So that's in front of those.
Yeah, right here.
That's right in the corner there.
That's where it's going
It's
to
gonna
be.
go right there. So that has 2 lamp posts right now.
Okay, good. So then I think they're going to change the fixture. Yeah. It's just a different fixture.
Any other questions?
You had brought this in front of the design review committee, correct? And, no?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Separately for that?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Well, if there's no questions, maybe we'll ask Paul if he has any comments on this.
No comments. The bank had reduced the size of their space, and when they got that approval, it was mentioned that the new tenant would have to come back for change of use if it applied, which they had to do, and so no comment.
Okay. So maybe we'll open up the public meeting on this, see if there are any members of the public who would like to comment on this application. Seeing none, I think we'll close the public meeting and we can have a discussion here. Any thoughts, comments?
I guess my one thought is, for the new sign, does that have to be a separate, do they have to come back to us for that, or the
Not
DRC?
necessarily, because I think DRC can approve signs. Yeah.
I think we've
It's
streamed,
sort of going on the same,
yeah,
it's not like a brand new door, the new,
Two different things.
Yeah.
The awning and the sign goes to DRC.
yeah.
The change of the front door will be applied for a building permit to Paul, and then he will determine if they have to come back to you.
but we've streamlined the process for the signage, so if DRC, correct me, Christina, is good with it, we don't necessarily have to,
But for the doors, yes, for the sign.
For the sign,
Only DRC
yeah.
now, they change.
exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So that's
So we're just really good
streamlined.
about change of use.
Yeah. Yeah, which we, I think implicitly were fans of when they originally
Yeah,
did this.
Still a fan.
Yeah. Other
No.
debate?
It's nice to have it used.
Well, and not just be another bank entrance, with all due respect to banks, I think it's good for the downtown to have variety of uses.
Or fast food.
Understood. Does someone want to make a motion?
So move that we approve the change in use.
Second?
Second?
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Okay, next order of business is One Stone Place. One Stone Place came to us, I believe, back in January for a preliminary review, which was very helpful in getting a preview of what you had been thinking about, and it seems like you've made a lot of progress since then, so we're looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Board. Kristen Motel, I'm a partner at the law firm Cuddy and Fader for the applicant. Jerry Ryan from DGC Capital is here tonight, as well as Carl Ackerman from Sullivan Architects, Nick Shalea from Hudson Engineering, and Carlito Holt, who's the traffic and parking engineer with DTS Provident. As you are aware, the proposal is rather timely in the sense that it's requesting these improvements to address and prevent flooding damage on the property. So this parcel is located in the AE flood zone. It's an existing professional and medical office building, and the proposal is to remove that first floor office space that's previously been damaged for flooding and convert it to vacant open air parking for the tenants. So we're actually proposing to increase the parking on site from 26 spaces to 38, so 12 new spaces. And we are proposing a second-story addition over the existing parking area to add some additional office space. About 1,100, I think it's 1,150 square feet of additional office space is being added. The project will also bring the building into full building code compliance by adding an ADA elevator and fire stairs. All the mechanicals are going to be relocated to the rooftop. Again, that's a flooding safety thing that the property owners are looking to bring the building into compliance with. And we did appear last week at the DRC, and that board recommended approval for the project. We understand that separate applications are going to be needed for some of the project components, including the awning, I think it's the canopy, and there's rooftop solar proposed here as well, the details of which are, still being worked out. So the DRC did make some minor recommendations last week, and we were able to incorporate those adjustments into our plans tonight. So I'll have Carl kind of walk you through those. The comments just were about adding fall protection railings on the roof, a little bit about the solar panel setbacks, and the general canopy details. So Carl, if you want to just walk through, I think everybody is a little familiar, but just to bring them up to speed with some of the modifications that were made and just summarize the project. I don't have the laser pointer though. Or maybe it's this, is this it? Here you go.
Carl Ackerman from Sullivan Architecture.
It's got the warning on it.
So we went to the last DRC meeting, and concerns were brought up, and very helpful concerns, that obviously, as just mentioned, would have to go back for the solar. Also with the green roof that we're proposing, if there's any work up there. We didn't have the railings prior. You can see on the elevations, we've added just fall protection railing up here on the top. And the only other changes, we added colorization to the penthouse. This is set back on the roof plans. But other than that, it's just the railings. The windows on the building are black. We would be proposing a black railing system to match the same color. And basically on this drawing, this is the new facade that's being expanded out towards Milburn. This facade.
Which is where's the existing? Sorry. Sure. Yeah, and then what you're going to do, just sort of, instead of also with the changes from the DRC, but just give us the 10,000 foot quick view of what exists and what you're doing. Because we did read all these, but it's always great to hear it from the expert.
Yeah, from the DRC, since the last meeting was mainly the fall protection railing, yeah. And we set back the solar line, has to be 4 foot minimum from the roof edge, and we added the fall protection railing on the roof plan. That's on the roof plan, but
I think he's asking what's there now and what it's going to be.
If you can start us at 0 in terms of,
go through the whole thing. You want to go back to?
Well, not the whole, but what you think is relevant. Yeah, start from what exists now. We know where this is. It's next to the farmer's market and the paddle courts. We know, and then sort of where you're going to do.
Okay, my apologies.
all good.
So the ground floor here, this is currently office space. There is, it's all right now demoed obviously from the water damage. This little section right in here there's an existing stair and an existing stair in the back. We're adding a new ADA compliant elevator here. The balance of this first floor is all going to be opened up. It's going to be parking.
How many square feet are you, I'm trying to understand the net. How many square feet are you giving up by turning that first floor into parking, and how many square feet are you gaining by the expansion?
The lower area here is about 5,000 square feet.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It's written on there.
roughly.
Yeah, it's roughly just that area that we're pointing to there. You can't really see it on that is being office space converted to parking.
And the new space that's filling in, how much aggregate square feet is that?
I believe that's 1,150.
So the 1150 you were referring to was a net number. That's what I wanted to make sure I understood.
That's what's being added over the parking area. So we're taking away more than we're adding.
That's what I was trying to,
Yeah.
thank you. The subtraction,
I went to law school, I'm not a math wizard, but I think that's the bottom line.
right, in terms of the occupiable square foot.
And we do need a minimal FAR variance.
Right.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
The reason for that is we're lining up the structure with the existing parking. That was the only reason where we do that line. We'd like to cut it back, but it would impact the parking below. And it's a very small variance, and we'd like to ask for that. So, going back to this, if that's okay, this plan.
If you can just, I think Peter would ask, if you could just go a little closer to the mic so
My apologies.
he can, yeah.
So on this plan here, it's a little easier to see. This is, the yellow area here is the existing floor area that's going to remain. This gray area here is the new stair and a new fire exit out towards Milburn. Obviously, you come out here, you can't exit into a garage, so you have to have a controlled way out of the building. And this red hatched area is the area above that's added new on the 2 floors above.
So the red is going to be the addition?
The addition, yes.
And so right now, there is parking of some X number of cars, if we said, and you're going to take away that office that floods.
Correct. This
So,
area,
so when the office floods, do the open garage spot, do the spots flood too?
everything on the lower level floods. We're going to redo it so it's all flood proof. Finishes would be epoxy or no carpet.
And there's also stormwater improvements being proposed that I'll have Nick take you through. So right now, there really isn't much on site.
But the cars are going to get inundated no matter what you do. If someone leaves a car there and we get kind of rain.
My first question is cars right now, do they get flooded or they just get it up to their wheels or? Because a couple of the floods we've had, I've seen back there, it's pretty bad.
I don't know the exact extent.
Doesn't matter, okay.
It depends, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, it's significant.
So the answer is cars right now that area does flood, right?
Yes.
Paul?
Chairman? As far as flood-proof and building it compliant with the floodplain code, that area for new and substantial improvements, it's either to be used for storage or parking. So you're
The
right.
idea is
the
you can
cars, if
drive
they
cars
stay
off
there,
the
will
lot if there's a huge storm forecast. You can move a car more easily than you can a building.
Yeah,
If
if
sends that thing out and you move your car to higher ground.
If someone leaves their car, it's going to get damaged, but it's really for the building that the floodplain code is about.
So you're gonna make it so that the rest of the building isn't affected by the water that's going to happen when it ever happens?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
When it will happen.
As well as the utilities, because there was substantial damage in the last
Right.
flood with that.
That's why everything is moving, all the big things are going up top.
The elevator's going to have a sensor on it too, a water sensor. As soon as it picks up water, it's going to go to the second floor.
Just one other quick question. How many floors in the addition? 2 floors. So you're eliminating all that space, and there's a smaller space, but it's going to have 2 floors to
Right.
it.
We're
Understood.
asking
That's
to
how it's kind of
transfer-
netting.
Transfer
Okay.
square footage.
Can you go to the top, Paul, can you go up to the first one, the one that's an actual picture? Just so I get a sense of, yeah. So where is it gonna go higher, 2 floors? on any of these
This
pictures?
elevation right here is from Milburn, looking out
Fills
at
the
the
gap.
structure. This facade is going to be extruded out towards us in the image, and it's just going to look the exact same. The lower level is going to appear like
It's just
it
pushing
does.
out towards you.
Just extruding out.
Oh,
So-
it's not going, I thought it was going up.
No, it's the exact same height, it's just extruding out.
I'm sorry. That's why, good.
There's a
So
penthouse,
in
which
that
could
picture
confuse.
there, there's
account.
an appendage to the building on the right that comes out,
Correct.
and then the building on the left has 3 windows. So how much forward, where is the new building going to be in relation to those windows and that structure on the right?
It's a valid point.
Where is it?
These-
She was
these
asking, is
three
it
win-
coming
Yeah.
out all the way past those 3 windows?
Yeah, it's going to be very close to those windows, and that's something that has to be addressed. That is a lot line condition, yes.
And what about that big appendage?
That's coming out, that's old mechanical equipment from my understanding, this little metal structure.
But are those lot line windows that you're permitted to cover, basically, or?
Well-
It's a question, yeah.
It's a question, it's a valid question.
Okay.
So, I mean, but the people who own those buildings, I don't know, well, yeah, it's a valid question.
We don't need a coverage variance.
No,
though,
they're
so-
talking about cover.
No, those things to the right, so you have the windows, so the new building is gonna take over those windows, and I'm not sure how much space is gonna be between the new building, because right now, they're like attached, like that building is almost, it looks like it's one piece, but that's actually a separate unit, and it's a rectangle, and that building, if you goes around the side, see, the difference, am I coming out from the right angle?
This is from the other corner.
Is that from the other corner? Yeah, no, but I'm just saying the building is, it's not a rectangle, it's, where is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like an L.
Right, so the building that you're gonna be building up against, it's on the right side, or on the, is that the south side? Over by Stone Place where the entrance is? There's a very, very little tiny space between the two.
Right, with the fire stairs.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the east side.
The east side, right, yeah, so you could see, but now on that side, that's what I was like trying to figure out, is how big is the space? Because right now in the back, if you were gonna align your building, that existing building is butt up against your neighbors. So how is that gonna?
It's a lot line condition. It's something the owners will have to talk to the other owner about.
Okay,
It's a zero lot line.
okay, okay.
Feel free.
It'll have to be fire safe, fire code compliant, being a building that's so close together that it has to be probably like a 2-hour protection. So, but that would be building permit issue and probably get permission from the other owner.
But Paul, correct me, lot line windows get covered up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're aware this is happening?
I don't know.
They've received the notices that we've mailed.
Right, because usually we get people, that's why people come, because I would expect them to be here.
Right.
They're not losing much of a view.
No, so that was one, but then the other piece was the obstruction, or that piece that's coming off to the right. That looks like it's some type of ventilation, no, on the top left there, that metal piece. It's mechanical, but it
And
looks,
going up to the roof, right?
I think it's a cooling tower, and it's coming down. There's all new building mechanicals. It's for this building, and it's coming down.
oh, is that part of your building? That's going through, okay, because I thought that was attached to the building to the right, where
No,
the
then
auto
it would
shop,
be on their
that's,
property.
Because, correct me, you own all of that land out to the street.
Correct.
That
do, okay.
center area is all theirs.
so that building that's in front there is your building? There's a shop there, I don't have a picture of it, but that white building, you're telling me, is your building? That's all
This
yours?
entire parking lot is their property.
It's the parking lot that's
This is
theirs.
the parking lot, no other buildings.
Right, so, but that's not what I'm asking about. I'm asking about, and I may be repeating myself because I'm confused. What I'm saying is the white building that the metal thing is attached to is not yours.
Correct.
So
It's an
that's-
auto body shop, yes.
Right, so that's what I'm asking, the mechanical piece, they've approved it, that they know they have to move it and it'll go up on top of the roof.
It's this,
It's not,
it's this
it doesn't belong to the auto body shop.
It has legs, you can see below it, it's self-supported, it's abutting that property.
But it doesn't serve that property, is that what you're saying?
It serves their own property,
It
that
does?
metal building, yes.
Okay, okay,
And that's going
Thank you.
away?
Yeah.
okay.
The zoom in is helpful, thank you.
Yeah. Just like the other.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
The auto body shop has things hanging off their building, it happens. That's
Right.
technically on this property, but it's a parking lot, so that won't be a.
Paul, can you swivel to those other windows that Eileen was asking about since we're zooming in? Okay, thank you. Yep, okay. Okay. But the zoom in really helps because you can see how it's going to come out toward us.
Right, so when I looked at it, I thought that was part of that building, but you're saying it's your mechanicals and you're gonna move it. Got it, okay.
It is really confusing.
Yeah.
It's set up, it's not clear, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other things you wanted to present about the addition?
The main added items from our earlier presentation, as I said, was the roof plan, and we did present lighting that was on there. There's some small sconces. The canopies are proposed here. I understand it's a separate permit. There were images of the canopies on the set that was submitted. It's a purchased product. It's going to be black. It's going to match the windows. There's 2 canopies, one on this elevation and one on the Milburn side and one on the Stone Place side. And the lighting was shown, and the LED lighting in the garage is here. The fixtures were shown on the plan. All LED, dark sky compliant.
Can you comment on how long this construction will last? Or someone else on the team?
Good evening. Jerry Ryan, one of the partners on the property. Construction like this is probably somewhere from 12 to 15 months.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that'll have much impact on the neighbors?
No, because the area that's secluded in the back is, it's on our property, and, it's steel erection, and then the perimeter gets closed in. With regards to the underground parking, it'll have very, very little impact because since the flood, the interior has already been demoed. So we're really only taking out the walls and reinforcing steel.
I was just thinking about deliveries in terms of access, for instance, to the auto body shop, that sort of thing.
Yeah, at the time of construction, though, we would, prepare a logistics plan and go through it with the building department.
Or go around the other way, by the paddle courts.
Depending on how your truck can turn, yeah.
But there is a lot of room in that area there for site logistics on construction. So there is plenty of space there.
Mm-hmm. Did we want to shift maybe to the stormwater aspects? There's someone here to speak to that, because that's pretty essential for this particular site.
That is essential. Nick can talk to that. And then also, one detail that I forgot to mention that really isn't necessarily germane to your review, but is very interesting, is that there's going to be fuel cell mechanicals on the roof, and so that means the building will have the ability to toggle on and off the grid for resiliency purposes. So our clients are doing this in numerous other communities. They're deploying this on their properties. So this is one component of the project. Again, it's not really anything. It's enclosed in the rooftop mechanical area, but just a cool tidbit for you to understand about what they're doing with the property.
The fuel cells will be operated, where the power going to come, is it going to be solar?
It's through natural gas, so I'll let Jerry.
So, yeah, the fuel cells will run through with natural gas. We're currently doing pilot programs for microgrids. Right now, we're actually working with NASA and the Department of Energy with these microgrids. So how it would work would be that at some point in the future, and it's not now, we would expect to make hydrogen from the solar panels on the roof. That's why they're very important. And hydrogen would replace the natural gas. And at that point, this would become a microgrid. So even today, with natural gas, you can still create a microgrid with fuel cells. The solar is very important, not today, but in the future for hydrogen. And also, just to answer the mechanical, why all the mechanicals are being removed, today you're looking at heat pumps, all worked off of electrical. So again, future compliance, which we're working with a number of companies through our renewable company to develop these products for supermarkets and essential needs. And so once the grid goes down, they can stay up and running.
So this is like, instead of you're like a modern day Generac.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
So they were so excited about the stormwater aspect that the band just struck up across the street.
That's the concert, Wednesday night concert, just for you guys.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Nicholas Shariah from Hudson Engineering. Our previous set of plans for the stormwater is on screen right now, but we did receive some minor comments which we have addressed. I have the revised plans here if you want me to bring them up to the easel.
Sure.
But I'll just walk you through basically what we have.
Can you just go through also just go through how it's going to, where it's gonna go? I think we figured it out, but,
Absolutely.
and then the question I'm gonna have, you might as well answer what you're doing is, does it go out to some public, system?
Yes.
On,
So-
I think it's called Paxton.
Yes, so the site is currently 100% impervious with the improvements that are proposed. We are actually reducing the stormwater runoff from the site with the use of the hydrodynamic separator, which will be connected to an existing catch basin on Milburn. We're taking the existing roof drainage that exists on the building, and with the proposed additions, that the roof drain for the proposed additions will be connected to that same hydrodynamic separator, which will connect to the catch basin on Milburn.
And so you're gonna make a catch basin in the ground?
So the hydrodynamic separator is a structure which has internal mechanicals which separates denser substances from the stormwater, and has a storage unit at the bottom which will be maintained.
That thing is?
Yes, correct. That is the hydrodynamic separator. So in, whatever runoff comes from the roof, from the parking areas will be basically funneled through this unit and then sent to the existing catch basin of Milburn.
So the water's still going out, it's just going to be cleaner water?
Correct. Yes,
It still goes to Paxton?
Correct.
To the public? Because when that really floods, that's gonna
So,
be backing up into you guys.
so our calculations show that with the hydrodynamic separator, the water quality volume is actually reduced with the use of this structure.
But it's still gonna back up if Paxton is underwater, you're not gonna be able to go out that way. Right,
So,
unless it's strong enough to push.
well,
The Bronx River
Not
will
sure.
have its way.
I mean, if it floods, I don't know if any,
We're not going to get water to flow uphill?
yeah, if it's, it's in a floodplain, so
Right,
there's
exactly.
not much we can do to
So
offset
this
that.
system is more to make cleaner water? I'm trying to understand, because I thought it was gonna,
And it reduces the volume too, because it's just water.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is, like I said, there is no conventional stormwater system on site treating the water, so this is actually improving the runoff volume, because this system actually has a volume storage which slows down the rate of runoff
so
into
is
that
a
catch basin. Correct.
So
have
where
it
will,
so it fixes and waters your top thing. The vegetable garden.
Rain garden, correct. The green roof?
Yeah.
Yes.
You should have it so you get a tank and it goes back there.
Doesn't need much water though, the roof garden, does it?
Yeah, it's succulent, so the roof planters, they're designed to need minimal water.
Right, right.
Yeah, exactly.
so where is the storage, where would that be?
It's just that,
So
right?
the hydrodynamic separator is located here. It's a 4-foot diameter structure. Let me see. Can I bring my board up? I can kind of show
Please,
you.
feel free.
All right, sorry, I don't know if that improves anything, but, so this tiny dot here is the hydrodynamic separator. It's set at grade in the asphalt area. It's H20 load rated, so any vehicles traveling over it would not impact it. And it's a closed grade system. Everything else is funneled from the roof, so all roof areas are basically sent to that structure.
And the storage tank, where is?
So it's under the ground. Everything is below grade.
Everything's
It's
underground.
part of the
It's part of the structure,
Yeah,
correct,
got it.
yes.
And how big is the storage tank?
I don't have the volume off the top of my head. No.
This room?
So the structure itself is 4 feet in diameter. Any space that it takes up is vertical, so it'll be underground.
So it'd be 4 feet as far as down as it's gonna go.
Correct. Let me take a look, see if I have the,
But as you said, it's in a
dimensions here.
parking lot. Yeah, underground, so no one would see it, and there's a grate over it.
Yes,
Right, okay, thank you.
you won't notice
You
it.
know, I just was curious where it was, so that's where it is, underground in the parking lot.
No, it's just that the volumes of water that appear there could overwhelm any,
Oh, yeah.
you know. We've all seen it. Yeah, okay.
But the idea is that it's, if there's a flood, it's not gonna be working, it's just for regular drainage. It's gonna
Correct.
slow
Understood.
everything down and disperse it.
The design parameters were up to the 25-year storm, and since we're in the 100-year floodplain, I mean, if
Right.
we get
Well,
a storm of
we
that
we
intensity-
get 25-year storms sort of every other year here, so, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Is this whole building, sorry, is this whole building gonna stay, medical related?
Yeah, office and medical, yeah.
So will the existing people be able to stay in there while the construction is going on?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do a lot of this construction all the time.
Right.
And, you know, it's all about, you know, phases.
Mhm.
So certain parts cannot be done while people are in for safety purposes.
Right.
So there's certain things that have to be done on the weekends, you know, work permits, you know, we would create a schedule to do all of that.
Right, but realistically, some of them may have to relocate for periods of, no?
No,
No?
we wouldn't have to relocate.
They wouldn't, okay.
No. Currently, there's some space available at the back or next to the construction, right?
Okay, okay, great.
Anything else from the applicant before we get to Paul?
I don't believe so. Just as Carl mentioned earlier, we do need to go to the zoning board for a very minimal FAR variance. The property is existing non-conforming, and we're proposing just a minor increase there. We also have an existing non-conforming parking situation, which this board is allowed to vary, and we are improving the parking by adding 12 spaces on site. So we would request that the proposed configuration be approved.
Paul and Christina, do they have to go to zoning for that, or can we take that action? They have to go. Okay. Okay. Good. So if there isn't more from the applicant, maybe, you know, Paul, you've had the feedback from a number of consultants regarding this too, so we're all interested in your perspective.
Yes, if you refer to the July 11th memo that I sent out, I tried to lay out things in a organized manner. Hopefully I succeeded. Yes, they do have to go to the Village of Bronxville Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance of 31015D2A. So that was something that you could refer to zoning, and they would therefore you know, submit a permit to them and get that done. But we had 3 submissions from Cuddy and Feder, the most recent June 22nd. It was mostly in response to both Hardesty and Hanover, our planning review consultant, and PCI, our stormwater review consultant. And really everything was addressed. There are a few things like on the plans they're showing a 3-foot hydro tank, and they've agreed that they'll put the 4-foot in, and I'll approve that with the building permit. And that's really about it. And then, of course, as the DRC pointed out, that a solar panel system permit, a roof parapet wall, and a railing and awning require separate approval from your board, so let's say.
Any questions for Paul before we get to the public hearing?
I've heard a lot of people stop in stores now about solar. What's Bronxville's sort of philosophy on solar panels on roofs in general? Is it residential and commercial, different story?
Yeah, they are, different thresholds and whatnot. It's pretty clearly laid out in the code for them to follow. And so we'll wait for their application. Yeah, on their plans, they showed an area designated for the panels, but they understand that they have to do a full permit for that.
Yeah, it sounds like that's for another day.
Yeah.
So with that, maybe we'll open up the public hearing, see if there's anyone here from the public. And Christine, it looks like we have an affidavit of mailing as of June 27th, so all the neighbors have been notified. So seeing none from the public, we'll close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or any other questions that members have.
Well, it seems like they have to go to the zoning board for the floor area ratio variance, and they have to go to the DRC first for the parapet and the awning and the solar panels. And for us, that leaves the fact that we're getting an application that creates more parking and reduces runoff. So,
And there's, for ours, it's the FAR. Is that what they're looking for approval?
no,
From zoning.
no,
I
yeah,
think we're approving the underlying project.
right, exactly.
They're dealing with.
Subject to those four things, three of which will come back to us perhaps.
Once they go through those.
DRC, yeah. So, I think it sounds pretty good,
I think they've done a lot of good work.
yeah.
I like the idea that it's gonna be, neutral at some point. That system sounds amazing.
Eileen, thoughts, comments?
No, I don't have any further questions. I think you answered them when we were talking.
Yeah, and I think, Jim, you made sort of the key point, which is we can't compare this to some ideal of a building being in a spot that doesn't flood.
Right.
I think we have to compare it to the current conditions. The current conditions are much more subject to damage and other issues from flooding. And on that basis, this is a clear improvement with the change of the first floor to parking and moving all the mechanicals up, et cetera. This is probably something everyone wishes was done many years ago, before some of the things that have been experienced, but it's great that I think it's happening today. So if there isn't more discussion, would someone like to make a motion?
I move we approve the, sorry, we approve the plan as submitted, subject to the DRC and planning board approval of the parapet, the solar panel, the awning, and refer the FAR variance to the zoning board of appeal.
And I think we can make that reference with a recommendation, right?
Right, and I would make it a positive
Yeah.
recommendation, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all the good work.
Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, our next meeting will be on September 13th here in the trustees' room. Thank you. Here in Bronxville, we will be taking the month of August off, so we'd like to wish everyone a great summer holiday, and we'll see you in September. I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.